Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Today's question comes from a new house cleaner who is starting a house cleaning business, and she wants to know, should she hire her sister? It's an interesting question. I'm from a very large family. There are 19 kids in my family, and there are 7 girls. Of those 7 girls, 6 of us have owned house cleaning companies at different times. But we do not work for each other. And here's my philosophy on that. Can you imagine 6 versions of me working together on a house cleaning project? Let me check. No, that's too many chefs in the kitchen, right? If you hire family, one of you has to be the employee, one of you has to be the boss. And so is the person that you're hiring, whether it's your sister, your mother, your child, your spouse, is that person willing to be the employee? Can they take orders from you? If you give them orders, are they going to be obedient? Are they going to do a great job for you? Are they going to cause you havoc and wreak misery on your workday? Let's say that you go into business with your spouse, and we have lots of husband and wife teams. And so I'm not saying don't do it, but what happens when there becomes marital problems? That transfers over into the business. And now 2 angry, miserable people that are not speaking are now inside Mrs. Jones' house, and they're expected to clean and do an amazing job. How can you bring peace into someone else's home if you're miserable and you're fighting with the person that came with you? Not a good mix. Not a good mix at all. Okay, so now let's say that you hired your sister. Let's just suppose that you did. Let's say that you're the boss and she's the employee. Let's say she doesn't like the way that you run your business. So she decides she's going to go do something else and she's just going to leave you stranded. All right, what does that do to your relationship now with your sister? So it's Mother's Day, you're going to go home this weekend, you're going to hang out with mom, but now you and your sister are not talking because of something that happened in the business. Do you want to do that? So my suggestion to you is this: do not hire family. If you have a choice, and you do, if you're the boss, you do have a choice, don't hire family. It very rarely ever works out well long term. Now, having said that, there are couples that work beautifully together, just beautifully together. And so if you work beautifully together with someone and you're a peacemaker and you get along well and you have very few enemies and you have an attitude that's not ricketed by anxiety and anger management issues, you might be an awesome person to work for. And so I would say have at it and make it work. But very rarely do I see that it works. Very, very rarely. And so like for me and my sisters, it's beautiful that we all have house cleaning businesses, but it's even more beautiful that they're all separate house cleaning companies. When I make a decision in my company, it's not necessarily a decision my sister would make, and vice versa. And so we get to be our own independent people and we get to run our own independent companies. And there are times, because of our skill level, because of our work ethic, because of our knowledge, because we love each other, there are times that we've jumped in and we've covered for each other. Like, hey, I'm in a really big bind. Can you help me out this weekend? Absolutely. And believe it or not, I went and I worked for my sister for a weekend. And she was the boss. I was very crystal clear about that. In my company, I'm the boss. But when I go work for her, she's the boss. And so I had to say, yes, ma'am, whatever you like. Yes, ma'am, I will go do that. And then I go do whatever she asks me to do because she's the boss. When I am in her company, I am an employee. So are you willing to create those boundaries? A lot of times in family, we don't have those boundaries. And so it's really hard to say, oh, anything goes in our personal life. But when I show up at work, now I have boundaries. That's just weird, right? And if you create boundaries in the workplace, a lot of times your siblings will not listen and they will not obey you because they don't have those boundaries anywhere else in life. So it makes it tough. So my suggestion is if you have a choice, don't do it. Don't go into business with family. It's so hard to fire family. And there are times that even though you love your family, they may not be as honest as you. They may not have the same work ethic as you. They may not be the same person with a level of integrity and morality that you have. And so then you have a whole different series of issues, even if they're bonded and insured with your company. You are still responsible to your clients for that person that you've hired and brought into the home. It's interesting, there can be two birth people from the same parents, brought up in the same home, same upbringing, same everything, and they're just completely different as night and day. I've seen that too. And I've seen one person totally bring down the business of the other. And then when you try to bust that up, chaos. So, should you hire your family? It's going to be on a case-by-case basis, depending on who you are and how you get along with that family member. But I've seen people that were amazing in business together, but because of the business, it destroyed their marriage. And then they would get divorced and go their separate ways to start their own cleaning companies. They should have started their own cleaning companies in the beginning. It probably would have kept their marriage together. So again, you have to have boundaries. You have to know exactly what you're doing. And if you're not the kind of person that gets along well with your siblings, absolutely not. Do not go into business with somebody you do not get along with when you're off the clock. Because when you get on the clock and you get on someone else in someone else's house and you're on someone else's time and someone else's schedule, that does not get any better. It does not get any better whatsoever. So don't punish yourself by hiring a family member because they don't have a job and you want to help them out. That is not the way to help that person. The way to help that person is to introduce them to our Facebook group, to introduce them to different availability options for starting your own house cleaning company. Get them plugged into their own network and have them create their own business, because then they are responsible to themselves and they are responsible for their own success. But the house cleaning business is not a piggyback ride. You are not carrying anyone else, and you're not going to save anyone else, and you're not going to give anyone else a job and help anyone else get out of debt. That's not what this is about. If you have a business, you have a responsibility to your customers to provide the best service possible. And you're getting your own self out of debt. You're carrying yourself. You're paying your own bills. This is your responsibility. It's not your responsibility to carry family members and your aunts and your nieces and people that have no jobs because they're out of school and can't find a job or whatever. That's not your responsibility. So should you hire family? No, just don't. Just don't, and then come back and thank me later. All right, that's my tip for today. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.